Hello everyone. My name is Adam Amado, aka Space, and today I will be sharing the personal story of how the city of Amado came to be. Now, for those of you that are unaware, the city of Amado was founded in the mid 1800s and it is still standing today with a small population of roughly about 40 people, being modest. Now, it is south of Tucson and it is in the great state of Arizona. Now, let's dive into our story, shall we? So, our journey starts off roughly in the 1850s. And it begins with a man with a dream by the name of Manuel Amado, who was my great grandfather. Now, Manuel Amado was married to Ismaela Amado, who was my great grandmother. And together they had 9 children, 5 boys and 4 girls. Now, during this time, Manuel was a prominent rancher. He was a farmer, grew his own crops, he plowed his own fields, and he raised his own cattle, to include ranching across his farm. Often rode horseback, branding, tending to the cattle, making sure that there were no predators that were eating away at his flock. So they arrived in Hermosillo, Mexico, and during this time they had their own piece of land, but it was too small, and especially for a big family of 5 boys and 4 girls. Ismael and Manuel had decided that it would suit them to get a bigger plot of land and to include their gradually increasing numbers in cattle. Manuel caught wind when the U.S. opened the floodgates to have anybody come into the U.S. and stake their own land. So if they were able to protect it, they were able to care for it, then it was theirs to keep. Now, back to Manuel and Ismaela. They uprooted their family, loaded up the wagon, got onto the horseback, and they started galloping all across the scorching hot desert of Sonora. And given it was an unpathed way into America, it roughly took them about 6 weeks. And so they made their way from Mexico all the way to the United States. And they found themselves just south of Tucson. And this is where our story begins. So Manuel found a good plot of land in the south region of Arizona, just south of Tucson. And one thing he had said that got passed down generations was, if there was a good sign of mesquite trees in your land, then that was a good indicator that you had great soil. And so the plot of land that he had his eyes on happened to have just that. And so they made way, staked their land, and made their border. And made themselves a small casita for their 5 boys and 4 girls. And this small little casita of Amado soon began to grow, with their cattle growing, and with the city of Amado slowly starting to grow. Manuel decided to open up little shops for local businesses to come in and basically increase population and bring more people in and out of the spot. And it was actually relatively a good pit stop, essentially, from Mexico into Tucson. Now, Manuel began to become very well known for his cattle, and he sold and traded cattle. And if you don't know some Arizona history, Arizona is known for the 3 C's, which is copper, cotton, and cattle. So During this time, business was booming. And as his flock of herd of cattle began to grow exponentially, he soon found that his herd was grazing all throughout Amado and actually into the town of Tucson, from not only the southern part, but also the northern part. So spread all across the land. Now, Manuel soon realized that he needed to expand his borders. And so he began to expand just a little bit more, kind of closer into Tucson. However, it was a Native American tribe of the Tohono O'odham that caught wind of this, and for them being the first native people living there at that land, this did not sit right with him. And so, one day, as Manuel and his 5 sons were on their horsebacks and just tending to the field and tending to the herd, they had soon saw smoke coming out from the newer expansion part of their land. And so they hurried and they galloped over there. And they found that part of the extension that they made for Amado was on fire. Now this was a sign from the Tohono O'odham. And Manuel, being the good businessman and entrepreneur that he was, ended up speaking with the head chief, and they made amends. So it was then agreed to cut back on his border. And at that point, that was what Amado soon became what it is today. So again, it still stands, and it's a good story on a man with a dream and how something small could just be a little bit bigger than you anticipated. And that is a story of the city of Amado. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.